Hi, I'm Rob from B&H, and in this video we're checking out the Novation Launchkey controller. Keyboard controllers are getting more sophisticated with newer models featuring not only the keyboard itself, but faders, pads, knobs, and more for additional control over your digital audio workstation. Now, some of these models are geared towards specific DAWs. Nectar's P4 features deep integration with Reason, for example. Novation's Launchkey series, on the other hand, is designed to be an inexpensive but versatile option in that it uses what Novation calls InControl technology to instantly map its control surface to multiple DAWs. Let's take a look. For our video, we're checking out the 49-key version, but there are two other Launchkey models, a smaller 25-key model and a larger 61-key model, so you can choose the size that's right for your setup. The lightweight plastic chassis of the Launchkey is pretty much what you'd expect from a low-priced controller keyboard. This 49-key model weighs just under 15 pounds, so it's quite portable. There's no aftertouch on the velocity-sensitive keys, and the action is a little on the spongy side, but not bad really for a keyboard in this price range. The Launchkey connects to your computer via the USB port on the back, which also supplies it with power, although an input for an optional 9-volt power supply is also on the back right beside the sustain pedal input. Above the keyboard is where things get interesting. There are 16 velocity-sensitive pads for drum programming or triggering clips, with 2 additional round customizable buttons on the side that are mapped for triggering and stopping scenes in Ableton Live. Above the pads are 8 encoder knobs, to the right are transport controls, and on the left side there are 3 buttons to engage the InControl software or disengage it if you'd like to use MIDI mappings or create custom MIDI mappings. To the left of those are 9 45mm faders, each with a button beneath them that is primarily for muting or soloing tracks. On the far left, we have navigation buttons for moving between tracks and an LED display for parameter values. Keep in mind, though, that the real estate on the 25-key version is more limited, so there's only 1 fader and it doesn't have a button beneath it, and it only has 2 InControl buttons. So there's a tour of the hardware. What I really wanted to know is how well the onboard InControl software works in getting the Launchkey to control various supported DAWs. Well, we started with Ableton Live 9, and with a few setting changes in the preferences, it worked perfectly. The faders controlled track levels, and the buttons underneath functioned as either mutes or solos, which you toggle between using the button underneath the master fader. As for the trigger pads, the top row triggers clips and the lower row stops clips, while the round pads do the same thing for scenes. As for the encoder knobs, they map to control parameters on the plugins. So for example, if I select track 7, they'll first map to the macro controls on the drum rack. But if I select the next plugin, the auto filter, they'll map to controls on that. Transport functions do exactly what they're supposed to: fast forward, rewind, play, loop engage, etc. If I don't want the InControl auto mappings, I can simply turn off InControl for that section. So for example, if I want to manually map the encoders, pressing the top button turns off InControl for them, but leaves it on for the faders and buttons here and the pads here. The ability to disable InControl in sections is a really smart feature and makes the Launchkey quite flexible. And we also tried the Launchkey 49 with Logic and Pro Tools, and it worked very well, although the InControl mappings aren't quite as slick with them as they are in Ableton Live. The encoders map to adjust panning settings rather than plug-in parameters, but again, you can just turn off InControl and do custom mappings if you prefer. Pro Tools and Logic don't have Ableton's session page, which plays grid-based clips, so the pads don't have the InControl option in those DAWs, but they did automatically map to play cells in Ultrabeat when I instantiated it in Logic, and Battery 4 when I fired it up in Pro Tools, so that's really useful. In addition, the faders, mute solo buttons, and transport functions worked flawlessly in both programs. In addition, InControl also maps to Reason, FL Studio, and Cubase. Before we wrap it up, I should point out that the Launchkeys just happen to work extremely well as controllers for Novation's Launchkey app for the iPad, which is available on iTunes, although you will need the iPad camera connection kit sold separately. The app itself is a surprisingly powerful virtual synthesizer with a fun-to-use GUI that offers quite a bit of control over the sound parameters. Those parameters are automatically mapped to the faders, encoders, and pads on the Launchkey keyboard. So while you don't need the Launchkey keyboard to use the app, it certainly makes playing notes a much better experience and makes tweaking the sounds more fun also. So there's an overview of Novation's Launchkey keyboard controller. With a vast array of knobs, faders, pads, and buttons, the Launchkeys offer a lot of tactile control over your DAW, and the onboard InControl software that auto-maps those controls to various DAWs makes using them a snap. I'm Rob from B&H. Thanks for watching.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.